What word comes to mind when you think of the Earth? For some, that word might be beautiful.
This is another Crab's Treasure, a Souls-like game that centers around a small crab trying to get his shell back. The game is actually a very good Souls-like game. It's got microplastics, which are essentially your souls, stat upgrades, weapon upgrades, moon shells, which act as your bonfires, and multiple bosses and skill upgrades. What is unique about this game is you have a shell which acts as a shield. Each shell has different abilities and playstyles, which makes for some fun variety. As for the platinum, it took around 13 hours for me to obtain it, which is a pretty short platinum to get. There are 33 trophies and most of them are boss related. The others are for upgrading your character or collecting stuff and completing some of the story objectives. Overall, it was a pretty fun platinum trophy to acquire and it was really simple and straightforward, so I encourage everyone to beat this game and grab that trophy. Now that we got the intro out of the way, we can start the game off meeting our main protagonist Krill, who just wants to live all alone in his peaceful shell, and his life gets completely turned around when this shark steals his shell from him, so we end up chasing him. Which eventually will lead us into the ocean, where we learn that all of the marine life is aggravated due to some sort of like residue or something. We pick up our weapon for the game and begin cracking some shells, and come across our first rest point, which of course acts like a bonfire, grace camp, whatever you want to call it. But eventually we're going to catch up to the shark and he tells us to speak to some Duchess crab in order to get his shell back. That's going to be our main goal going forward. And on our way to the Duchess, we come across our first boss and first trophy. This guy's got nothing on me.
Wait!
Oh shit. Just comboed me. I hit him twice. Grr. No way, no! No way! No fucking way, dude. Come on. Yes! Woo! Also, on our way to the Duchess, we're going to pick up these crystals, which will allow us to unlock new skills, such as parrying, or allowing us to use alternate dodges and attacks. There really isn't that much else we can access yet, so we're going to progress the story and arrive at the Duchess's palace. The guards claim we need a shell to enter, so we follow the path and grab our first shell. Now grabbing this shell will alert the nearby boss, and this boss was way easier than the first one I fought, understandably because the one I fought was probably like an endgame boss or something. This guy goes down pretty quickly, like most bosses do in this game, because the game was actually pretty easy if you follow the main path. But beating him will give us the trophy Captain of the Guard. Now you can return to the palace and actually go inside and meet the Duchess, who won't give us our shell back unless we get some treasure for her, so that is our next goal. On our way to picking up this treasure, we unlock the fishing hook skill, which acts as like a grappling hook, which gives us access to certain areas. But for now, we're just going to keep rolling through the story, and we meet this snail who teaches us to use umami powers. So the umami powers have charges that we generate when blocking or attacking. Basically, each shell has its own umami power, like glass shards or unleashing powerful attacks, which makes it fun to experiment with different shells. But anyways, coming up to the end of this little mini section, we fight a boss. This boss teaches you about the blue attacks that you need to dodge or parry. It even has like a cool boss phase transition where it like breaks the bottle and starts stabbing you with it. But just like the last boss, it goes down pretty easily and will reward us with the trophy Polluted, Platoon, Pathfinder, and the pearl the Duchess asked for. So we return to the palace and the whole area and mood has been changed. The guards are immediately hostile and the whole area has been covered in fog. This is a whole dungeon area with lots of items and crystals. And towards the end of this, we end up seeing the Duchess, who succumbed to this like pollution goo shit. Now when I first saw her, I literally thought this was going to be the last boss of the game because I heard the game was pretty short. And to my surprise, we end up fighting her now. She was actually a really cool boss because when you parry her, her weapon would like fly back in her face, and it did a lot of balance damage, which is the yellow bar under her health bar. She was definitely a fun boss, one of the more memorable ones, and once we take her down, we pick up the trophy Tyrant of Slacktide and pick up our first of 8 adaptations, which is like a super ability that also uses umami charges. This one's like a giant crab claw that comes out to do like big AoE damage. But now that we've killed her, the shark dude comes out and says he's gonna sell our shell in the city, so we follow him there. Following him there will lead us through this coral area, and here we come across an enemy that I could not kill for the life of me. This guy hits so hard, and one time I accidentally just fell off trying to get to him, and hit a sponge which made me fly off the side of the map, which gave me a trophy. And once I got back to this enemy, he killed me countless times, losing all of my microplastics. But eventually we get lucky and he just falls off. Now we can move forward and we unlock the shell movement ability where we can roll with our shell, which is pretty cool. And we make our way to the main hub area of this game, which is a city. Here we meet Firth, some random businessmen, Emma, who's probably my favorite side character. She's like an old mom. We also unlock all of these shops where we can buy shells along with some other items and upgrade our weapon by collecting certain pieces of junk, which we'll come back to later for when we get that trophy. But we do get a trophy now for buying shell insurance in good claws, which will allow us to spawn with a shell of our choice after we die. And after navigating through here, we find a prawn wearing our shell. But turns out this prawn was just the shark dude who took it, and the only way he'll give it back is if we find the great treasure that is on the cereal box. But this rich dude catches wind of this and tells nobody to find it, or there'll be consequences. After that little cutscene, we'll get the trophy The Hunt Begins for beginning our treasure hunt. Everyone we've met wants a piece of that treasure, so they all encourage Krill to collect the rest of the pages for the map. And at this point we'll meet Conch, who will be kind of like a guide for us. So we speak to him and he sets us on our way to find the first map piece in the expired grove. But first we need to go through these sands between, and here a boss will aggro you if you stray off the path. And it's like the first boss we fought in the sense that it's probably an endgame boss, but I took this as a challenge to beat, which was a mistake. Okay. But eventually we beat him and get the trophy The Ravenous. Later. I'll be 20k! And to my surprise, a map piece. And now we make our way through the expired grove. Here we meet Kaiden, who was a guard for the Duchess earlier, but left before the pollution got there, and she wants to be allies. Now the grove is a whole area to explore with lots of bosses and items to pick up. And it also introduces the worst enemy in the game, which is these crabs that shoot arrows. Their aim is perfect and they can hit you from anywhere. It's complete bull. But anyways, we make it to the first boss of this area, which is like a diseased lycanthrope, which I don't even know what that is. But this boss summons little minions to fight and yanks you from behind. And also shoots like this gunk on the floor that slowly kills you. This one was kind of tough, but we were able to beat it. And beating it will give us the trophy Diseased Lycanthrope. Keep navigating through this area and we'll shortly reach another boss in this area, which is like a samurai crab with chopstick swords. This boss was pretty cool aesthetically. I like the samurai theme and the sushi shells that are around the arena. This crab hits hard. And in the second phase it splits the chopsticks into two and starts doing more rapid attacks. All in all, this was one of the more memorable bosses. Once we take it down, we'll get the trophy Intimidation Crab and the map piece we were looking for. And once we go a little bit further past this stupid section with like a million of these arrow crabs, we'll come to our third boss, which is Topada, which is actually a pretty difficult fight because his attacks hit super hard and he come at you really fast. And then he does like this sand cloud move where he attacks from behind cover, so you can't even see when he attacks. But after a while I started learning the attacks and started parrying it, which seemed like it was his weakness because we took him down pretty easily after that. Now for beating this boss, we'll of course get a trophy, Grove Keeper, and unlock our second adaptation, the Mantis Punch, which will allow us to pass through these glowing cubes throughout the world and obtain items behind them. And we are pretty much done with the expired Grove area except for one final secret boss that's hidden behind this oil waterfall, or oil fall I guess. Nothing too crazy here, just a reskin of some of the other bosses we already fought, and beating it will give us the trophy Curdled Carbonara Connoisseur. Now with the expired grove completely done, we can head back to the city to insert the map pieces we found. But first we make a quick stop at the Moon Snail to upgrade some skills and we complete one of the 3 skill trees, giving us the trophy Way of the True Crab. Now we can insert the map pieces at the city. And Old Conch tells us that the next map piece is in Flotsam Vale, so that's where we head next. While heading there, the rich CEO's goon tries to kill us or warn us, whatever, but retreats when we do enough damage. And now we reach Flotsam Vale, and this is probably my least favorite area in the game. Between the oil lake, the gunslingers, and disgusting brown tint this area has, I didn't enjoy this area as much as the rest of the game, but anyways. We backtrack to the expired grove to enter through a path that was blocked by a cube, so we break it and the path leads to the Flotsam Vale area, and a hidden boss, the Consortium. This is the first boss and I think the only boss in the game that is more of like a mechanic boss, where you need to break these ropes that hold the cage together. This boss was probably the easiest in the game, and beating it will reward us with the trophy, the Consortium, and our third adaptation, the Tactical Tentacle, which swings when you also swing, doing more damage. Now we can explore the Flotsam Vale area and fight another boss here, which uses a giant roller as a weapon that uses oil instead of paint, but it is mostly just another reskin boss, and beating it will give us the trophy Scuttling Sludge Steamroller. Now we can go deeper into Flotsam Vale and navigate through some cranes until we go into a cave where we fight yet another boss. And this is a duo boss, which I think is also the first and only in the game. And this boss is literally just 2 gunslinger enemies, but slightly bigger. And they go down insanely quick, giving us the trophy Ceviche Sisters and our 4th adaptation, Bubble Bullet, which allows us to shoot like they do. It does negligible damage, so I didn't use it all that much, but it's good for finishing off certain enemies. Now a little bit further, we claim the final map piece and return to the city to insert it. And then Roland comes in to steal the map, but we all saw the location the map revealed, and it's just past Flotsam Vale, so we gotta head back through there. But before we head back through there, we pick up the last few skills in the Way of the Predator tree to earn the trophy. Now we head through Flotsam Vale and into this electricity themed area, and I could not figure out what to do at this section. I was so confused, and it was a good thing Firth was there to help me solve it. After about 15 minutes, I noticed the metal flying up, so used the spring it gave me and got lifted up. But anyways, this area is pretty cool. Navigating the tall buildings and riding all of the lifts made for some fun exploration, and it was all sunshine and rainbows until these 2 enemies. Now remember how I got wrecked by the solo one in the beginning? Well, now there's 2, and they have electricity powers that completely stun lock you. Oh. Are you kidding? I swear. Dude, it's... I was raging bad at these 2, so I thought it was time to bring out my secret weapon. Alright guys, you wanna tussle? Let's fucking tussle. Wanna tussle? Let's tussle! As you can see, you can give Krill a gun simply by going through these settings, and this completely trivializes the game as it literally one-shots everything, including the boss of this area, which I wanted to test it on to see, and kinda regret it because this boss looked pretty unique, but yeah. Oh my, it just one-shotted.
Thanks for playing with me.
Oh my. We pick up the trophy for beating her, and we get our 5th adaptation, which allows us to power up certain mechanical crabs around the world, and it allows us to power a boat to make our way to the treasure. So literally everyone hitches a ride, basically using Krill to get a piece of the treasure.
God of war, God of pain, of suffering, of destruction. I chase redemption that I know I can never deserve.
Eventually we make it to the location of the treasure and see Roland already trying to grab it. So we climb the outskirts of his pinball machine and eventually make it to Roland, and we enter a boss fight with him.
I'll send you down the drain myself, you little flatworm!
And he was a pretty fun boss with the whole pinball arena because he would like turn into a ball himself and bounce around and stuff. And at this point of the game, I was getting pretty good at parrying, and he would do like fast attacks that build up the balance meter pretty quickly. And this was pretty memorable boss too. Beating him will earn us the trophy Venture Capitalist and give us the cutscene where we see the treasure. Crow gets tired of everybody using him to get this treasure that he's earned.
I'm
I'll goofy
and causes the whole pinball machine to crash into the depths. And here we get a cute flashback of Krill living with his shell. Which makes me absolutely hate that stupid prawn that took it from him. But we wake in the depths of the ocean and some creature tries to talk with us, to join it, to reshape the world or something.
What word comes to mind when you think of the Earth?
A bit further, we see the treasure, which is money and completely useless to the crabs, so it was all for nothing. And we catch up Firth, who's a complete asshole.
You want my advice? Go find whatever the apex predator is down here and jump in their goddamn mouth! Then you'll finally be valuable to someone!
So we keep moving and get jumped by 50 little crabs, and Nema saves us and brings us to Conch. And they inspire Krill to keep going despite feeling like giving up. So Krill agrees to lead them out of the depths. We see this creature again telling us to prepare for the apocalypse, that is the trash destroying the ocean, but Krill kind of just ignores it. But anyways, this area is pretty big and it's super dark down here, so we have to find glow sticks to light the way. There's a couple of new enemies down here, including these jerks who act like items. Oh my... You kidding me? Eventually we'll make it to our first moon shell, which is actually bait because it turns into a boss. This boss is pretty fun. It spawns these crystals on the ground and it tries to parry our attacks too, which makes it a bit challenging. Definitely not the best boss in the game, but still a good one. Beating it will give us the trophy, the False Moon, and our 6th adaptation, which allows us to create a moon shell when we do not have a shell. Now with that boss gone, everybody can safely teleport back to town. Meanwhile, Conch tells us that the journey isn't over and that there is still an ancient treasure if we keep navigating through the depths, the perfect whirl. So we keep traversing through the depths and come across more anglerfish and see these creepy long-legged crabs that remind me of the Tom Cruise movie with like the aliens, which is a pretty good movie. You can kill them too, and they drop the crystals you need to upgrade the skills. So I murdered all of them to get enough crystals to max out the last skill tree and pick up the trophy Way of the Hermit. Now just past that area with the long-legged crabs, we see Roland and Inkerton has had enough of Roland's crabs, so he kills him.
I left you on the seabed where I found you, you little...
We get an actual boss fight this time with Inkerton, and he was about as easy as the first time we fought him because he does a lot of attacks that can be easily parried. There's really only one move that is hard to dodge, and that's when he grabs you like a crab leg and starts to crush you. But other than that, he's pretty easy. Beating him will give us, you guessed it, a trophy, Crab Hunter. And now we can make our way even further down some special elevator into the old ocean. Well, before we explore that area, I decided to explore the other areas I missed throughout the rest of the game and picked up the 7th adaptation, which is just sitting in a random area in the sands between. And this is probably the most OP adaptation because it leaves like a trap, and if an enemy hits it, they can't move for a while. It's really good. Also, while exploring, I picked up the 8th adaptation, which is from talking to this sea urchin and trying to hug him. Eventually, he'll give it to you if you stop bugging him. This adaptation is the last in the game, giving us the trophy Well Adapted, and this adaptation is pretty good. You can throw it to stick to the enemy and it blows up doing some pretty good damage. But now we can explore the final area of the game, the Bleached City. This area is my favorite. Whole dental bathroom squeaky clean atmosphere is really cool. The exploration was really fun here, and the enemies were from all over the game without the stupid arrow crabs. While we're here, we pick up our last stained relic. Now the stained relics are found all over the game world and they can be used to enhance your weapon level. There are 16 stainless relics and 15 of them are required to upgrade our weapon to the max level, which is 5. Doing this will earn us the trophy Make It Shine. Now we're going to keep exploring this area and eventually see Chitin here too, who is also following the call of the perfect whirl. Shortly after that, we're going to reach the throne room and my favorite boss in the game, the Bleached King. I love this boss. I really like the scale of this boss, and I tend to like bigger bosses in games like these because it makes you feel like your little character is super strong. This boss also has a lot of fun attacks to dodge, like parrying the projectiles and the swings of the toilet brush. Also, jumping over the attacks that ripple through the floor is really fun. It's definitely a really good boss to fight, and depleting his health bar will give us the trophy the Bleached King. But after I thought it was over, he climbs out of the shell and begins a whole second phase, which was super cool to see. In this phase, he tends to be more aggressive and mobile, and he also keeps some attacks from the first phase like the ground slam. He also quickly attacks and repeatedly, so it makes it fun to parry these attacks. And for beating this boss for real this time, we'll get the trophy Kamchka Reborn, or however you pronounce that shit. Now that we've beaten him, we only have 2 more bosses to go, and before we go any further, I wanted to get all of these shells in the game. So I looked at my collection and had most of them. Most of the shells are found by playing the game, and some can only be found in secret areas, like the spam can, or the disco ball, or the toy truck. Also, a good number of them are bought from the shop in the city, like the Rubik's Cube or the Among Us shell. But the last one I needed was here in the Bleached City, and required me to complete a 2-minute long parkour section, which wasn't too bad. At the end of this, we find a crab, we murder him and pick up the helmet shell behind him and get the trophy Shells Like and Shell Seeker. Now the helmet shell is the second best behind the gun, of course, and I immediately got insurance on it. Now that we're fully prepared, we head down the toilet drain and search for the perfect world. Here, Conch and Krill come across the perfect world, a shell with godlike powers. Thinking they won, Chitin kills Conch by stabbing in the back, which was crazy to me.
A matter of time before... Oh, god damn it!
But we actually see that she is being controlled by the creature that tried to reason with us earlier. And now we have a boss fight with this thing, and to me it was a bit of a letdown because I actually wanted to fight this thing. It had a lot of lore throughout the game, but it just summons these little mind-controlled crabs, and we basically fight Chitin instead. And once we beat it, it discards Chitin, and the whole second phase you just dodged all the attacks while its health bar just drains out. And I literally was just rolling in the helmet and it could not hit me at all. So once the thing kills itself, we get the trophy Ocean's Agony. Now Krill wants to use the shell to save Chitin and everyone in the city from all the trash. Before he can do that, Firth out of nowhere swoops in to steal the shell, and this was mind-bendingly unexpected to me. Now Firth, of course, doesn't even care about Chitin or Conch or anyone but himself, and he wants to flood the whole ocean in trash so he can become rich.
I'm gonna be a hero!
Yeah, real nice of him. He starts flying up to the surface and we go with him and battle it out on this trash island. Now this boss was pretty epic, and he does so many attacks that you've seen throughout the game, like using some of your own adaptations or trying to parry you. It's pretty epic and fun. But now you'll see how OP the snare adaptation is, because he just sits there and I can just get 2 charge attacks off. It's just a super good adaptation. So we beat him in the first phase, and of course he has a second one where he starts using all of the power in the shell to spawn water spouts and uses tentacles and throws sea urchins at you. But at the end of the day, not even a godlike shell can save you from a pistol. Okay, but seriously, once we defeat him, we pick up the trophy Avatar of Waste, and Krill puts on the shell to absolutely decimate Firth by using the rest of the power in the shell, unfortunately breaking it, and somehow Firth survives this.
Hey, pal, no hard feelings, right?
What the f? Does it say he's still alive after that? And now the whole city is unfortunately covered in trash, but the people like Nema and Chitin still move forward. Krill has one last thing to do though before the game ends, and that's get his shell back.
Cause you had a bad day, you take one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
So we put on the shell and we get the trophy, finishing what I started, and the platinum fully carcinized. That was another Crab's Treasure. It definitely was a pleasant surprise, and I really like these Souls-like games and Souls games in general. And this game for sure delivered a Souls experience. Though I do feel the game could benefit from more bosses and enemy variety. It had its own twist on the genre with the shells and adaptations. I definitely recommend everybody play this game and certainly pick up the platinum for it because of how simple it is to get. I'd rate it an 8 out of 10 platinum experience. And as always, thank you for watching the video if you've watched this far. And I hope you'll like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next one.
What word comes to mind when you think of the Earth? This world is resilient, but not endlessly so. As this Earth spins ever faster towards its uncertain future, all will face that future in their own way. Some will fight for the world they dream of, blade in hand. Some will spend their whole lives saving others from falling through the cracks. And others still will never rest in one place for long. as this fragile world begins to fracture. No matter how large or small, the one thing no creature can afford is complacency. But though history talks of warriors and heroes, and great mighty crabs that shook the world, it is the thankless deeds that shall ever make that world worth fighting for.
When we first met, I'd hoped you might clean up the mess I made, and with some time and rubbing alcohol, the stains on me might fade. But nothing ever washes out the way you